I think you hit something right there. So parents want convenience, right? And they want to make it easy. But the thing is, if you are serious about filming your kid, then you have to be committed. All right, welcome back to the latest episode of Game Day Glare. I'm Lance. I'm with E. This is the podcast for sports videographers. How you doing, E?
Very good. Like I was just telling you off mics, off camera. I was filming, did a bit of a road trip this week. Filmed in Ottawa, Canada, which is basically a city made for, it's like the Washington, D.C. of Canada. Basically, everybody who lives there works for the government. And, well, I don't think that's the case in Washington, D.C., but anyway, you know what I mean. And
the capital. You mean the capital of Canada? That's what you're trying to say, right?
But like it's because there's not that many people there. Like actually, like Peter Sorellis was working there as well, so like I was hanging out with him a bit, and he was saying because he lives there as well. He works for the women hockey team there, and he was saying how like rush hour. There's no real rush hour. Like there's a little bit of a rush hour at 10 and one at 4 because that's when government employees finish work or start work. So it's a pretty laid back city. And it was interesting. It was like the draft for the PWHL. And there was, we were in the Hard Rock Hotel Casino.
Oh, it just opened actually because I was in Ottawa.
Well, that's the thing. It's not even open yet.
Wow.
It opens the 3rd of July. So I went there on the 24th of June. So we were like the guinea pigs, basically, because I didn't know. And I got there, there's like construction everywhere in the parking lot. And it's like, oh, this is brand new. And then realized when I got in that like not only is it brand new, but it's like unused. So we were like the first guests ever. And it was basically staff and players. And yeah, it was fun. It was different.
So what were you filming? Did you mic up players? Did you mic up a draft table, or was it more like B-roll?
Well, yeah, that was the idea. Like, it was funny as well because I was there because there's 2 expansion teams this next season. So there's one in Vancouver, one in Seattle, and they don't have a videographer yet. So I was the videographer for Seattle. So the idea is that we're all helping each other out for all the generic stuff, and for obviously when someone gets drafted, we all try to get a shot of the family reaction and all that stuff. But I'm working for Seattle, so when a girl gets picked by Seattle, once she gets off the stage and she has like a whole like media run to do, like all the interviews, press conference, photos for this, photos for that, funny stuff for social media, I'm following her through all these steps while sort of making sure I'm there when the next one gets drafted. But the idea was that like as soon as they leave the stage, like you mic them up so that you can, get good audio of all these things. But at the same time, all these interviews that they're doing, like they don't want them, and the photos especially, like you don't want the microphone to be showing. So they were like, I really don't want the mic to be seen. So try to see what you can do. And I'm like, it won't be too bad. Like you get drafted. In my mind, you get drafted, you put on a jersey, and then I can mic up by putting the mic on the collar of that jersey. And yeah, but there's no jerseys, like, because they're all like dressed up, wearing nice dresses and stuff. So like they're holding, when they get drafted, they're holding a hockey stick with the team logo and name on it. They take the photo, stick goes away, and they're ready to go. So I'm like, and it was the same for everyone. It wasn't just me, which was, because I was like, there's no way I'm micing up. Like she's wearing, like a tube top, like skin tight type of thing. It's white. My microphone's black. I'm like, nah, this is not happening.
You wanted to mic her up. You just knew that people would be judging you when you mic'd her up.
Yeah, but I was like, there's no way this is happening. Or the other one has like this X pattern going, in front of her chest area. It's like, there's nothing I can do as a 46-year-old man in public like that. Like she probably spent an hour like getting all ready. She's not messing that up. So it's like, nah, we're just going to shotgun the whole thing. But it was all right, to be honest. Like I was playing for the first time ever, I was playing with the low cut, trying to get rid of like background noise and stuff. And it actually made a big difference. And yeah, I listened to my audio after that, and it was quite fun. So yeah, no wireless mics, but yeah, no, it was fun. It was different. My first time actually working on the draft. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
So I had done NHL drafts where I was lucky. I got to follow John Tavares when he got drafted because it was in Montreal in 2009. So it was Tavares, Hedman, Matt Duchene, and Evander Kane. They were the top 4 picks. So I followed them after they got drafted. We followed them to station to station. And people don't realize when you get drafted. So yeah, you usually have like interview with the team or the network or their videographer. And then at that time, we would go to like photos. They would do like upper deck photos where they get you the jersey, you do the puck photos. Then you have a signing session. And then eventually you go and you meet your family in a lodge and the team comes to you guys. So I did all that. And then by the time Canadians at the time were drafting Louis LeBlanc, and it was like the 20 something pick. So I filmed all their stuff. And when I was done with them, I came back and then the Canadians had their pick. So then I followed him. But at the first round's like that. Like your first round was probably more attention to it than the second, like the other rounds, or was it all the same? Because usually after, like in the NHL, after the first round's the big deal, the big show, and then the second round to 7th round is kind of faster. Was it like that, or is
no.
it
Well, I think in this basically what happens after they get drafted, like all
steps?
the media day type stuff. The further you'd go in the draft, the less they had to do, or the least time they would spend at each station. But other than that, everything was pretty much the same because it's like 8 teams. So like first round is not going on for a day, like, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was 6 rounds though. Like I didn't think there would be that many rounds, but yeah, 6 rounds, 8 teams. There were like trades. There were it was fun.
It takes
was
time
different.
when there's
Yeah,
trades.
yeah, yeah.
So you had 8 different encounters where it was awkward. Where you're like, should I mic up? Should I not mic
No,
up?
well, there was 6 rounds, but 3 of the draftees for my team weren't there. So I had
Oh, okay.
first round, second round were there, then 3, 4, 5 weren't, and then 6th, which was the last pick or second to last pick of the draft, she was there. And I'm like, oh, now, like, you know, everybody's wrapping up, and I'm I'm still doing all the stations because we're last. So and it's all backed up as well. So it's like, oh man, come on.
So today's topic, actually, so maybe if you're a parent and you're hoping your kid can get drafted one day,
That's why
what
I
we're
brought it
talking
up.
about, exactly. You teed it up for me. Thank you. Thank you. So today is like pro tips for parents filming their kids' sports, because this is a question you get asked all the time on YouTube, right? Is how do I film my kids' sports, or how do I get my footage better and all that? So you brought this topic up because you're always getting asked. So we figured, hey, we could tackle this and we can definitely help people out. And it's not just for parents, it's also for newbie videographers too. You could use the same tips too, because not everybody has a full kit, camera kit, or a media pass. So if you're a parent trying to capture your kids' games, well, that's it. This one's for you. So I'll let you set the tone, talk about what we're going to be going over and how we're going to tackle this subject.
Well, I mean, it's I guess it's talking about well, first of all, the challenges of filming your own kid, and even though it's my idea, I think you're going to be doing a lot of the talking here today because you are like a living example of someone who has to go through all these struggles. You have a son who's not only plays sports, but it's actually quite good, and so you're a videographer yourself, so you try to obviously to make the most of it, and yeah, so it's talking about the struggles of trying to be a dad enjoying the moment or a mom enjoying the moment, but also making good video and trying to film in a way that's going to be useful for all the type of videos that you're trying to do. And so technique, accessories, equipment, you know, and it's always, I guess, the biggest struggle. And I guess that's the first question I would ask you. Like, I'm assuming the biggest struggle is quality versus convenience. Like, how do you pick, when do you pick one over the other? So am I right in thinking that that's the
Yeah.
biggest issue? And how do you
No, big
handle
time,
it?
big time. You know what? Like, if you go there with a plan and you're like, I want to film, then I would say suggest picking quality. Okay. Because like you say, if there's a big game for your son or daughter, and you need to get highlights, then go with quality. Okay. But sometimes, like, your kids are in like my son was in a hockey tournament when he was like 7, say, and he wins the tournament. Well, I don't have my camera. I'm not there to film his stuff. So I just pull out my iPhone. I would try and get the best shots I can. And it sounds silly, but those are great memories. And I still have them on my iPhone. And like, I have hundreds and hundreds of hockey clips and video clips of those moments, lifting the trophy, jumping on your teammates. Those things, film with your iPhone. Don't worry about it. That's what it's meant for. But if you got to send out videos, or you're trying to get your kid recruited or something like that, that's where you got to start thinking about the quality part, because an iPhone is amazing. It's a great tool. The quality is there now, especially every year. Like 17 will be coming out in 3 months, and everyone's going to say it's the greatest thing ever. But to really film these things properly, you're going to have to invest into a higher camera, something a little bit more versatile, something with more maybe focal range, so a camera lens kind of thing. It really depends on your goal. But for those moments that you want to live over and over again, or need to share instantly, iPhone all the way.
So what would you say is the biggest like hurdle as a parent, like trying to film your kid? Is the fact that you're far, you're in the stands and stuff? Is it the equipment, like trying to learn everything and be good at what's the thing that's stopping most parents, you think?
Well, there's two things. So I'll give you the real answer first that parents don't ever want to admit. Filming your kid is hard. First of all, everyone's judging you because you're that parent and looking at you like, oh, look at this guy filming his kid. You got to get over it. You got to get over the fact that everyone's going to be looking at you and like, why do you have a camera in your hand? Especially like if I show up my big rig and I got a monitor and a V-mount battery and 2 handles and a strap, and I'm like, I'm locked in. People are like, oh my God, look at this guy. Right? But they also judge the mom with the iPhone who pulls it out every time her kid jumps on the ice or is on the court, right? That you only care about your kid. And it's very obvious when you're like, whoop, 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 whoop. So number one, don't care about what anyone's looking at, what they're asking you, why are you filming, and that. You tell them, I'm filming for highlights, or I'm filming for this, and that's it, and deal with it. You're going to feel awkward, but the more times you take out your camera, the more times you show up to an event ready to film, you're not going to worry about what other people think. Okay. Now, what was the second part? Because I went so far into that one, I kind of forgot.
No, but yeah, that was pretty much it. But like in a way, like, do you think that there's something that's stopping some parents from filming? Like for example, is gear like intimidating to the point where a lot of people like would like to do it but won't do it because they're like, oh, if I don't have a camera like that lens guy over there, what's the point?
Yeah. I mean, obviously people do feel intimidated because it is a learning curve, especially the higher quality you get, right? But everyone has tools. Like I've seen parents with great game footage, and they literally put an iPad Pro, mind you, where they have the 3 focal ranges, on a tripod. And the footage is good enough to center a recruiter or to show game action. So obviously when I show it with my camera, it is intimidating for some parents. But once you get over and you find the reason why you're filming and what the purpose of it is, you will adjust to what you need. Now, I'm not saying everyone has to go and buy an FX3 to film your kid properly. No, find something in your budget. Find something that you actually know how to use. Like learn your camera, because that's the biggest hurdle too. Even us, like when every time I switch cameras, you switch cameras. What happens? It takes you a couple shoots, a couple times using it to actually get to know the settings and get to know the feel and all that. So the same thing for parents. Get something you're comfortable with and practice with it. And don't be afraid if you miss stuff. Because I am a pro. I've missed stuff at my kids' games all the time. And I miss it because you're involved. Like as a parent, you're nervous. You're watching your kid. You want them to do so well every time. And it's not the case. So like, I have a question for you. I brought you out in the winter and you filmed one of my son's tournaments. You were testing, what were you testing? A ZVE1? ZVE,
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
ZVE1 Mark II, right? You were testing.
No, I don't think there is a Mark II.
Mark II?
Just
Okay, well,
ZVE1.
ZVE1. So that was a big tournament. And I was so happy you came because I was gun shy to have my camera out at that tournament. And the reason why I was gun shy is so my son had scouts looking at him. He has a Q team that he talks to and is drafted. So I know that people are watching him, but I know people are watching me. So I didn't mind. I put my GoPros, which I had there, one behind each net, but I had you were there and you shared the footage with me. Now, picture while you're filming that. So my son's a goalie, and you saw we didn't do too well in that tournament. You can't tell by your edit, but we did not do too well in that tournament, and saw a lot of rubber. Now, picture filming that, and the whole object of the game is for the other team to put the puck past your kid, right? And now you have a camera in your hand, and every shot, so you face 105 shots in 2 games, and you're filming every one of those shots. Think of the stress level.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, even you were like, oh my God, like it's crazy. I was like, yeah. Now picture when you're the dad behind it. And that's really, really hard, man.
Yeah, no, of course.
So what did you think about, like, when you go to a youth game and you knew you knew my son. So did it change your perspective at all about filming, or were you looking at it through a different way?
Yeah, well, definitely I wanted him to do good. And when I filmed like a goal from the other team, I was like, yeah, it's like nice goal, but like, yeah, you don't really feel like you want to use it in any way. But yeah, no, it's definitely like, it's in a way, it's cool to have like a purpose. Like when I'm filming just for the sake of filming, like you're trying to find the storyline and find something that will give like a direction to the video. So when you're coming in knowing exactly what your motivation is, like in a way, it's a positive thing and it helps. But yeah, then I feel the same way. Like when I film my nephew playing basketball, for example, like it's like I'm want him to do, like I'm going over there to do a YouTube video for my stuff. Like I'm testing a camera, let's say, but at the same time, I'm trying to focus on him, hoping to catch him do great. If it's not really happening, I'm like, well, should I, move away from him and just film the action in general, just to make sure I've got some good shots for my camera? But at the same time, that's not really what I want to do. So yeah, you're always kind of, it's a bit of a weird spot. But like you said, at the end of the day, like they're going to have good games. They're going to have bad games. And then sometimes it's not them, it's the team. It's especially as a goalie. So it is what it is. And you have to sort of separate yourself a little bit from what's going on, or enjoy it completely. And like you said, just put up GoPros or just pull out your phone when the moment's right. And for the rest, just like, sit back and enjoy and cheer and scream and get kicked out by the refs.
Well, that's it. And as a parent, you don't, or even if you hire a videographer, say, okay, you don't want your kid to be distracted because someone's there filming them. So another challenge is you want to be as discreet as possible for your child. So, when you're walking around the court or field, don't get in people's way. Don't have the ref have to tell you to move if it's say you're on the sidelines of a football game. Like, don't be a distraction to anyone. Because the second you are a distraction as a parent, you will get flagged. And then the next game you're at, they're going to be, oh, Johnny's dad's always in the way trying to get video footage of him. And that's where maybe we could start talking about gear. Because if you had a longer lens or a different camera, well, then you can be further back and zoom in and all that. So this is why you would want to upgrade your gear. But let's start with the number one thing, okay, E? So what do you tell parents or people who are filming kids' sports? iPhone settings. What is the go-to standard for best quality iPhone?
Well, the best image quality will be to stay at a low frame rate, like a 24 or a 30, and then go with the highest bit rate available, if that's something you can. I'm not sure if you can on phones. Like I know, like if you have like a filming app, you'll be able to play with the bitrate, but I'm not sure if you can do it in the phone, just general settings. But yeah, I would go 4K, 24 or 30, and whatever you can adjust, definitely adjust it to the max. But yeah, just making sure you correct, you understand how to like touch the screen and adjust the exposure, like play with little things like that when sometimes the phone is just getting a bit messy with the exposure, because there's, especially if you're filming outdoors or even hockey because of the ice, like if it just focuses on the player, for example, and then it gets super bright because the player is in a bit of a darker spot, but like now the sky is just like completely blown out. So like just being able to, just knowing how to fix that quickly. Yeah, just do little tricks like that. But with a phone, you don't have that much control over the settings. So it's mostly about focusing on your composition and make sure you have a nice shot and making it look good as much as you can.
Yeah, I mean, those are all valid points. The only thing I would add is if for some reason you want to try and get a slow motion shot, then go to 4K 60. But 24 to 30 are definitely your cleanest images on the iPhone. So try and plan when you want to use if you're going to do slow motion after in the edit. And
Oh, I've
anything that
got
you
another one
can,
too.
anything else you can control manually, try. Like,
Hmm.
try and lock in that setting because it will make your job easier after. What's your other tip?
Yeah, I was just gonna say with the, like, don't try to zoom in digitally. Like
Oh,
if you try to zoom in, then you're basically you're doing the same thing as zooming in post, where you just go in on your image and then the pixels get bigger and yeah, it shows. You can see your image sort of destroying as you zoom. So just go from one lens to the other. Like don't try to just zoom in manually. And I would stay away as much as possible. Like if you got an iPhone like me where there's three lenses, that third one, the 3X, usually the quality is nowhere near the first two. So I would just try to switch from 1X to 2X and leave it to that.
yeah, because it adds in a bit more grain, I find, too. Everything's a little bit more sensitive on that third one.
Yeah.
So let's say mom and dad are ready to upgrade. Now, this is something that ZVE10 is a well-known camera. It's a nice budget-friendly camera. I haven't even used it. You've tested it before.
Mhm.
Is this like a really good to go-to camera for parents, or is there something else you prefer to use? Or even like, do people still use camcorders? Like those little
Yeah,
camcorders for
some
parents
people,
now? So
yeah,
what
still
do you
do.
suggest?
Well, I think first of all, like it's all about, and that's the another thing that's always a dilemma for parents. It's like the first thing you need to figure out is your expectations, because like what are you expecting in terms of quality? What are you expecting to do with the footage? Because a lot of parents will film like on a tripod a very wide shot of the entire game, and then they decide they want to do like a highlight reel, and then they want the footage in that highlight reel to look just like the footage they see on Instagram. So manage your expectations and film accordingly. So like if the goal is just to have good enough footage of the game so that you can recognize the players and you can see the action and it's a fun watch, a ZV-10 is more than good enough for that. Like the main thing is that, well, first of all, you'll be able to shoot in 4K and all that, but you'll be able to choose a lens that will fit what you're doing, which is the main issue with a phone, is that like you're stuck kind of with a wider shot, especially if you're filming from the stands. You're stuck with a pretty wide shot, depending on the sport again, but yeah, with a real camera, the sensor is bigger, so the quality is better, and then you have a lens that can go further and without losing quality. So these are the main like automatic improvements going from phone to ZVE10. If you're filming non-stop with a ZVE10 and you live, in Georgia, Florida, Texas, something like that, I definitely stick to 24 frames or 30 frames per second, because eventually you could have, if you go higher frame rates, you could start to have overheating issues, and it's not specific to the ZV-10. That's for any mirrorless camera. So I would definitely, if you feel, if you've seen that warning before, I would definitely get like an external fan to help you live through that. But yeah, I'd say ZV-10 still, to me, like for the price, I think it's $600. A great camera for someone who wants like decent enough quality. What's the next step after phones, and also being able to get close-ups and get different types of shots that they just can't get with their phone without spending thousands and thousands of dollars. That would still be my go-to. But if you obviously, if you got a little bit more money, and then you might want to go ZV-E10 Mark II or FX30. To me, that's sort of the 1, 2, 3.
The progression.
Yeah.
Now, the trick is too, right? And you mentioned it. Know your sport. So we have these, 2.8 lenses. You can get 1.8 lenses. You get all these fast, expensive lenses. But I think if you're a parent, you can get away with a kit lens. So you could buy a ZV-E10 that comes with like a 20 to 24 to 75. Or you can even have other kits that go like 25 to 105, and don't worry about that f4 or f5.6 stop, because you might not be trying to get that bokeh background. You want to get your son or daughter, you want to film them doing the best they can in their sport. So that could save on your budget too, are the kit lenses, because they do have some really good combos where you get like the battery, the camera, and a lens. Because it is, as a parent, it's not fun to go out and buy a mirrorless camera and you open up the box and it's just a camera. You can't even shoot because you don't have a lens. So know your sport and look at the packages that it comes with. Like, if one offers a kit lens that comes with it, don't be shy. If you feel later on you need a 70-200 because your son or daughter is playing D1 college and you are in charge of making their video, the highlight video at the end of the year, well then, yeah, maybe you might want to suspend the money and get the 70-200 in that. But you can get away with a lot of stuff with kit lenses, and it's going to give you a better shot, get you closer to the action than your iPhone will. Now, one issue that parents always have: stabilization. So what are your tricks to help these people and parents get a nice stable shot?
Well, to be honest, I think mostly tripods, because a lot of parents don't move much. Like they're in the stands, they're in their
Saying we're
spot.
lazy? You saying we're lazy, we don't move, or what?
Not lazy, but like you're not there to be like a professional videographer going up and down the court or the field trying to get different perspectives and this and that and cutaways and all that stuff. Like you just want to be able to film the game from the best angle possible and leave it to that, so that you can enjoy the game at the same time, at least a little bit. So a tripod to me is ideal, because that way at least it's not in your hands all the time. You can just leave it on a tripod, and it's easy to be stable. You don't, especially if you're going with like a budget camera that probably doesn't have stabilization in it, budget lens as well that might not have it. So being on a tripod will give you good shots, and it will allow you to zoom in as well and still get great shots, because that's the other thing. Like if you get like a 18-200 and you're filming at 200 or 150-200 for the most part, because you're filming soccer, if you try to do it handheld with a camera that doesn't have any stabilization and a camera operator that doesn't have any experience, it looks very shaky. And then people get discouraged and they're like, this is like, my footage is terrible, blah, blah. But just using a tripod will solve all these issues. But it's still, you still have to be handling that tripod. You still have to be, standing up and staying behind it and always being in control and moving it. Because like not too long ago, someone, I think it was in the Facebook group, the Sports Videography Facebook group, and someone was saying that they tried basically putting a gimbal on top of a tripod so that they could just control it remotely with the phone. And I'm guessing the idea is to be sitting down, first of all. And yeah, like having that control. I think he wanted more height as well. So the gimbal being on top of the tripod gave him that. But yeah, he's saying like, I'm always late, basically, like trying to move the gimbal to follow the action. I'm always like a step behind. So is it a setting thing? Am I doing something wrong? Blah, blah. And I'm like, nah, I think it's just, you're trying to, again, you're trying to swap. You're trying to be convenient by using the remote and sitting down in the stands with your friends or your wife or whatever, and just using the phone instead of standing up where the tripod is all game. That's convenient for you, but there's a price to that convenience, which is that, the gimbal is not going to be fast enough to follow the action pinpoint on time all the time. There's always going to be a bit of a delay, and then it goes a bit too far, and then you have to bring it back every time. It's not as easy as if it was you just controlling it on tripod or handheld. So that's the price to pay. So what do you want to do? Do you want nice shots or do you want convenience? And in that case, yeah, it's something like I'm moving away from your original question, but like, yeah, I think for a parent, to me, the tripod is the best sort of what's the word? Like basically, you it's the best like sweet spot between quality and convenience.
Yeah, I think you hit something right there. So parents want convenience, right? And they want to make it easy. But the thing is, if you are serious about filming your kid, then you have to be committed. And it's tricky as a parent because I'm filming the game. So if you're hiring me to film the game, I'm not watching the game like this. I'm watching it through my camera. And parents get distracted a lot by watching the game and not really focusing on the camera. So if you're going to do it, be committed. And yeah, you need a tripod, and you have to have a good fluid head on that tripod so you can tilt and pan and all that. And you have to be committed to that. You have to be committed to those motions. You have to take a little bit of time to get used to that equipment and make sure it's moving the way that you want to. Where yes, the gimbal on the tripod sounds like a great idea, but for sure, if you're missing plays and you're lagging all the time, then no. You're going to be disappointed, and you wasted your time, because if you're missing all the shots and you're filming this, you're burning battery, you're burning memory cards, you're going to back that footage up later. There's no point then. So just be fully committed. Now, one other thing that last piece of gear I'll mention, is audio. Audio is very key. So if you are upgrading from the Essentials iPhone or camcorder that already has it built in, for mirrorless cameras, like I would go with, yes, you can get lavs. You got Hollyland and all these affordable lavs on Amazon. But if I'm just filming my kid, I don't really need a lav. I need a shotgun mic. And there are some really, really affordable shotgun mics that will clip onto your ZV-1 or mirrorless camera, whatever else you're using, that will give you audio. They're omnidirectional. So you point it, it picks it up, and they can make your edit a lot better. You can walk by the bench, you can catch stuff. So I suggest really getting a shotgun mic. Now, is there like one piece of affordable gear out there that you think could help parents that maybe we mentioned or didn't mention already? Like a cheap accessory that makes a big difference,
Well, I think for me, like I said, a tripod's a good one, but otherwise it's just picking the right lens. So like you said, like a kit lens might be it, but that's probably more for outdoor sports, or at the very least, if you're not filming, because a lot of times, like someone, maybe not parents as much, but like people will want to buy a camera to film in 60 frames per second, and being able to do like highlights, like hype reels type stuff, and but then they got a budget camera with a kit lens, and they're filming in the high school gym that's not very well lit, and the image is super dark, and they're like, what can I do? What can I change? Usually the lens will help you a lot if you get like a good one or a decent, a proper one for what you're filming. So yeah, getting the right lens for the right job is probably the main thing for me if you're going for quality. And the good thing with lenses is that they're always, they don't depreciate in terms of what they do for you. You can keep it forever and still find a purpose for it. But yeah, in terms of accessories, like you've already mentioned, a good shotgun mic. I don't know. I can't think of anything.
The only other thing that I would say is, if you do have a bit of a budget, if you got like a little action cam that you could use, something that's waterproof, because if you are filming outdoor sports, you're going to have different weather issues and that, and you don't always want to bring out your mirrorless camera or even your phone in that case. So if you can afford a quick little action cam, they can get you wide shots and get you some unique angles, like end zones, behind the net, stuff like that. So if it budget permits, that's a good option. And it's also like, I use it as my safety cams, because as a parent, mentioned this on the show many times. I've missed some big saves that my son has had. And when he comes home and he's like, "Dad, where's that save?" And I'm like, Yeah, I missed it. But it's on the GoPro. So we check the GoPro angle and it's there. So you can always use that as a safety because it is hard as a parent to be paying attention to everything that's going on. You know, your kid could get hurt and the other team scores at the other end, but you're watching your kid because you're worried about that.
Mhm.
So if you can afford it, I think an action cam as a safety or as a backup cam definitely is a game changer. Now,
Well, I was
well,
going to ask you, like, speaking of that, like, do you have
yeah,
any like filming techniques that you would recommend that are sort of tips or like specific like things that you think would help like a parent?
yeah. So wide angle for gameplay, so you can capture like the actual play, and then plan tight shots for your kid. You know, like say if your son's a running back, and on every second third down, you usually hand off the ball. Well, try and get low to the field and try and film that up close. You know, but if your son's a quarterback and he's throwing to the wide receiver, well, you want that wide angle shot. You want to show how long his passes. You want to show his accuracy. So it really is sport specific, but plan on those things. And it's nice to have variations of those shots. So you can film one play wide, one play tight, or if it's during a season, film one game wide and film the next game up close, and you can cut in between the two. So it's all about planning. And the only other thing I'll say is, like, don't chase every play. Don't be afraid to miss a play. Don't be afraid to hold it if your son's a quarterback and he throws it. You don't have to follow the ball. Film your kid. Film him, his reaction. It will tell you if you got a touchdown or not. And plus, you can always film another touchdown and cut it to that later for your highlight. Um, and don't worry about missing stuff. As a parent, like I said, I already admitted, I miss stuff all the time. You're gonna miss stuff. You're gonna miss stuff. But the only way to capture stuff is to start recording. So just start recording, start doing the stuff, and don't worry about what you're missing. And there's a lot of stuff you could film, right? Like you film for CFL. So think of all the things that you're filming during these football games that aren't just football that you can add into your highlights. So what are you like? What else are you telling
Cheerleaders.
parents to get? Cheerleaders, yes, yeah. We went over that last show. E
Yeah,
just films
exactly.
cheerleaders.
No, well, my advice was more specific to like people who film sports where there's like glass or netting in the way. Whether it's glass for hockey or netting for baseball is probably the main one. Um, the idea is that you basically want to be as close as possible to that glass or to that net, because the closer you are, the more it will disappear completely, and also your camera won't focus on it or won't try to focus on it if you're on autofocus, because if you're a few feet away, it'll definitely try to focus on it, and then you'll have to be in manual focus. Or if you have a 70-200 that has that 3 meters to infinity switch, and then that means like anything that's closer than 3 meters, the autofocus won't try to focus on it. So that definitely helps. But anyway, I digress. My point is that try to be as close as possible, and you'll notice when you're like super close, like with glass, obviously it's transparent, even though there's, marks and scratches and all that. But with a netting, like, you feel like how can it disappear? But like you'll see, if you're like super close to it, it kind of disappears, but it's still there, like physically. So really, you're kind of seeing through the holes, and then the netting, the meshing, like just becomes kind of so out of focus, so blurry that it kind of looks like it's not there, but it is, which means that your image will look a lot softer than it would normally if there wasn't anything in the way. And same thing with plexiglass. So my advice is to crank up your shutter speed to make your image much sharper than you would normally, to sort of compensate for the fact that it is way softer than it would be normally. So obviously there's a fine line. You don't want to go too high and then your full speed footage looking way too sort of jerky. Um, and also, the higher you go, the darker your image will get. So my advice is probably a lot easier to achieve for baseball parents than for hockey parents. But yeah, that's one tip when you feel like your image is too soft and you're wondering why, but you're filming through something, that's the reason. Every time you add a layer in front of your glass, in front of your camera, well, your lens is glass. Every layer you add, whether it's a variable ND or whatever, like it's another layer that the sensor, like the light has to go through and can affect the sharpness. So, and that's a variable ND is made for that, but plexiglass and netting is not.
No,
So yeah.
that's a good tip. The only other thing too is parents avoid crash zooms. So by crash zooms is like try and stay consistent. You know, like you don't have to zoom in on every play tight, or a rush zoom or a rack zoom. Like try and pay attention to your framing and that, because yes, you might think that's really uptight right now, but if you're filming 4K, you can always edit in 1080 and zoom in manually after. So I would avoid the over zooming, because some parents do that a lot too. Now, we're editorsy, and we use paid software, but it's not for everybody, right? So we'll leave Adobe Premiere out of this, even though we both admit that we use Adobe Premiere all the time. But there are plenty of free editing tools out there. So what are your suggestions for editing, E?
Well, free, definitely CapCut would be the first one that comes to mind.
Hashtag CapCut? Is
Otherwise,
that what you
if
put on all
you,
your edits?
pardon?
Do you put hashtag CapCut on all your edits, even
No.
though they're not edited on CapCut?
Yeah, not exactly. No, yeah, CapCut's a good one. I don't know a lot of the free ones, to be honest, but I know like iMovie, if you have a Mac computer, is free. It comes with the computer, and it has limitations, of course, if you compare it to Final Cut, but it can definitely get you there if you're just trying to put like a game recap, sort of a condensed highlight type of package. You can definitely do that with iMovie and then some, but eventually there's a limit if you're trying to do like, green screen or all these other things. But yeah, iMovie, CapCut, these are probably the usual suspects for me. There's Filmora as well. That's a good one, but I don't think it's free though. I think it's much cheaper than the main, the bigger ones, but I think there is a fee. And there's Resolve. Yes, all right. DaVinci Resolve is a good free one, but it's probably the one. It's probably the one that's going to take you the furthest in terms of like having professional tools when it comes to like color correction, especially color grading, that sort of stuff. But it's probably the steepest sort of learning curve. So it just depends on how much time you want to spend learning how to edit videos, which I've learned with parents. Mostly it's not necessarily they spend enough time filming, like they don't want to spend hours editing and learning how to. They don't mind editing, they don't want to spend hours learning how to edit. Like that's, which I can totally understand.
Yeah, I mean, I think CapCut's probably the safest. DaVinci, the free one, it's very, very good. I used to have the free one. I have the paid one now. But it kind of coaxes you into buying the paid one as a
Mm.
pro, because everything you want to
As
do
a
that's
pro,
cool in
yeah.
it, everything you want to do that's cool in it, you have to pay for it, right? Where CapCut, the effects and all that are free. There is a paid version of CapCut, but
Mm-hmm.
the free one comes with pretty much everything. So I think that's the safest one for parents. And once you learn CapCut and you start editing, then you can easily, once you understand the concept of editing,
Yeah, exactly.
you can then move on to other programs. And there's also the only one that I think you forgot was Canva. Canva now offers
Okay.
some video editing, and more people are using Canva for graphics and video images and stuff like that. So you can definitely probably already have a Canva account. You could start editing in that. Now the issue is too with editing or having all this footage is, where do you put it? So like you eventually got to buy a hard drive, and you got to have a computer, and you got to have all this stuff. But there are some free tools out there where you can store some stuff for free. So you got Google Drive, and you can upgrade your Google Drive to like 200 gigs for like what, $100 for the year. Dropbox, iCloud. Uh, any other ones that you think that are free, that don't really cost to upload your footage? Because
Yeah, because they're free, but there's not that much space for free. So it depends how
no,
much filming you're doing. but I get it. Like I feel it's a good for me. It's more of a those things are more like storage for stuff that I'm not going to be using. It's more like a like once I'm done with it, I can maybe put it on the cloud somewhere and it just sits there, and I know it's not gonna, you know, it's not the hard drive that I'm gonna lose or break or you know damage somehow. So it's safe. It's in the cloud somewhere. So, but I wouldn't put stuff in the cloud that I constantly need to use for my edits. So it'd be more like, let's say at the end of a season, you know, I store stuff on the cloud and then start fresh on my hard drive for next season, sort of thing.
So maybe put your edits on the cloud and keep your raw footage on a external hard
All
drive
right, all
because
right.
it is something you're going to have to invest in. I mean, I have tons of hard drives. E has a server. The more games you film, the more footage you're going to have. So you're going to have to find a solution for that. So yeah, maybe keep the edits on the cloud and your footage on a hard drive. And then, I mean, is that pretty much it? Did we teach people how to film their kids' games, or is there something that you think we're missing? Like, I don't know. Maybe you can give, since you do all these YouTube tutorials and that. How would a parent tackle a 60-second highlight video that they want to edit in, say, a half hour? I was gonna say 10 minutes, but just by the time you organize the footage and all that, you're done. So say if I want to just show my kid fast or put together a quick recap of his game in a half hour, how would I tackle that? Or how would you suggest tackling that for a parent? Because the first time you do this, it's a little overwhelming. You realize you have all these clips and now you got to build something with all those clips.
Well, first of all, I don't know the last time I was able to edit a video in less than a half hour, so I'm probably not the best person
Okay, let's say an hour.
to say that. But yeah, I think it's just not be too overwhelmed by the magnitude of like the footage. Just going through. If you're filming like clip by clip, you're not recording the entire time. While filming, you can do the trick of like putting your hand, recording like a half a second of your hand in front of the camera so that you know that the clip before is a good one. And that way it's easier to go just pick the right clips in the edit and put them together and maybe put them in an order where you have like a different framing. So like going from a wide shot to a close up to like things like that. And also not necessarily making, like, for example, for football, like often people, if there's a nice play, they'll show like the quarterback like drawing back and then throwing and then the guy catching and running and getting tackled. And that's a play that goes on for like 12, 15 seconds. But in a video, it can be a bit long. So you could just quickly, you show the quarterback that gets the ball and then cut to like, you know, jump cut to like a bit when he throws it and then jump cut to the catch, just like make things move on a bit quicker. Once you get that rhythm, it goes pretty fast. Or maybe you cut from quarterback throwing to another catch that was different, but it's just the angle. It helps because you were filming quarterback tight and then you were shooting the receiver tight on this next play. So cutting from one to the other kind of looks good. And maybe that throw that you used actually went nowhere, but the purpose is just to say that like one time the quarterback threw the ball and this guy caught it. Like it did happen. It's just that you used footage from another throw. But anyway, all that to say that just like, yeah, quickly find all these clips, put them together, get rid of all the fat, trim all the fat that's not necessary, and put it in an order that is fun to watch where all these cuts will kind of blend in and you won't necessarily, they'll feel a bit more seamless. And yeah, that's it. Put it over music and do your thing. And because it's 60 seconds, it happens pretty faster, way faster than you think, especially if you film the whole game.
The only thing I would add is try and do it as soon as possible. So
Yeah,
after you film a game, your memory's a little bit better. You remember plays. You remember, oh, this happened in the first half. This happened in the second half. If you didn't like flag your camera or anything like that. So try and, to save time, edit as soon as you can. Because even for us, the closer to when I filmed and the closer to my edit, the more I'm going to save time on things I remember. instead of me having to go through all the clips. I know where stuff is. But if you film 4 or 5 games and then you come back, it's kind of a blur, especially in your kids' sports, because all the games kind of merge together. So that would be my piece of advice, is just, try and film that after right away. Or even if you log the game, like so the next day you back up the cards, you go through your footage and you log the best clips, and you make sure that you save those clips, because that will definitely speed up your edit. Now, any final thoughts, E? Any final thoughts before we wrap this up, for all the parents that are thanking you for teaching them how to film Johnny's soccer game this weekend?
Well, my final thought is that just like Wu-Tang, sports videography is for the children.
There you go. There you go. I'll just leave you guys with this, okay? As a parent, the footage will matter to you more in 10 years than it will now. So film, enjoy it, and you're going to just save it, and you're going to enjoy those memories later on, because there's lots of stuff that I filmed back in the day that I was like, I don't even know why I have this. And then when we look at it a couple years after, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I have this. So as a parent, just film and capture as many memories as you can. And don't worry about your gear, whether it's a mirrorless camera or an iPhone. Just capture that memory, and I'm sure 10 years down the road, you're going to be happy you have it.